Okay, I apologize for those of you in the class who have attempted to get on the call and were redirected for whatever reason, saying that the call was canceled. So my apologies. Um, we might wait a few minutes for those of you, our classmates who are trying to get online. This is our Google Hangouts for PET 673, which is for our Master's in Physical Education Teacher Education here at West Virginia University. And I know that this format for many of you is brand new, so I appreciate your willingness to learn a new technology, and although I have used this technology before, for whatever reason, there are glitches here or there that we will work through. So thank you very much for sticking with us through this process. As a little bit of a tutorial for you, if you are looking at your Google Plus Hangout screen, in the top left, if you put your cursor over the screen, you'll notice that a bar opens to the left, and there are several icons along the way. And on that toolbar, there is a chat icon. If you click on that chat icon, it will open up a window on your right. You can go ahead and chat to the group. Everyone on the call will see that chat, and I will, if you do post a question, be able to respond. You'll notice that there's also a Q&A. That Q&A should allow you to post, I can post questions to you, and then you may be able to submit responses or answers. We might work a little bit with that down the line, but right now we'll kind of just go with our basics. You'll also be able to kind of have different icons. Mine has like a video or a photo capture. There's some settings where if in fact I would share my screen or certain documents. So in any event, if you do have any problems, technical, or you can't hear my audio, for those of you in the class, you have my email address, so please don't hesitate to email me to let me know that there are some technical difficulties. Now today, our main objective is for us to interact with our content that is PET 673, kind of to introduce our class, as well as kind of go over some of the main premise, kind of foundational content that we'll cover in this class, and get us on our way for what we can expect this summer together. A little bit about myself. This is my 5th year on faculty at WVU. Previously did my schooling at UGA down in Athens, Georgia, in kinesiology and curriculum instruction. Originally, I'm from the Midwest, from Northeast Iowa specifically. I do have a 2-year-old daughter, of which we'll be celebrating her birthday during the week that we'll be interacting together on campus here at WVU. So we'll celebrate her birthday together. The primary focus of our time today, while this Hangout does have the possibility and potential to be interactive, I'm going to start off by sharing some information. It will be a little bit one way for now. We may very well elect to go a different route here at a different point, but at this juncture in time, I do just want to share some basic information with you about our course. We'll talk about different technologies among our students, some guiding strategies and standards, and then finally look at different technology trends in PE. So one thing that's kind of neat about us as a group, we do have 23 registered for our class, and we are scattered somewhat all over the United States. A good number of us are in kind of Appalachia or East Coast. Forgive me, there were a few responses that came in after I made this particular slide. I think I'm missing a call-out button down there in Louisiana. But for the most part, we have a diverse group of individuals who have had professional training all across the United States. Some advanced degrees, and this particular experience that you're going through now is a supplemental degree beyond what you've already accomplished as a postgraduate student. Others of us are first-year teachers who are looking to get some experience and further our career in our post-education or in our master's degree. We also have some doctoral students that are going to join us who will kind of add a dimension to our class as well. Now, looking at the number of students that you impact on a yearly basis, given your responses to that student demographics, this group of professionals alone is impacting nearly 15,000 students per year, at least. This group of professionals has more than 67 cumulative years of teaching experience. And so I do truly hope to learn as much from you, from your lived experiences in the classroom, as you may learn from me. And my area of interest, of course, is instructional technology and enhancing what we can do as professionals in the gymnasium or in the health classroom or in the sport field to use the tools that are available to us and do a better job of ensuring that what we do and the tools that we use are enhancing our practice and our teaching, rather than hindering or being a nuisance. Now, there are three primary course objectives that as you experience this class, we're going to critically examine different technologies. We're going to consider what might be some of those strengths, what might be some of those limitations, and how we might be able to use them within our teaching and learning settings. You are going to explore different teaching strategies that could be enhanced using different tools, whether that's enhancing how you deliver content, how the students interact with your content, and or how you can engage professionally with different networks. And then the third outcome will be for you to generate what we call an action and research plan, where during this next 9 weeks together, there will be different learning activities for you to brainstorm, identify a technology that you think could enhance your instruction, and then establish a plan for you to actually implement a technology-rich unit using that technology within your gymnasium or health setting. Carrying out that particular action research plan, of course, won't be done during the summer, but will be done in our follow-up lab in the spring of 2015. Now, a little bit of logistics about our class. We are going to use eCampus, and for those of you who are familiar with eCampus, please bear with. Others, we do have brand new students who are coming in. And WVU uses a Blackboard-based system, and when you log into eCampus using your WVU user and ID, you'll be able to go to PET 673 course, and a few kind of notable things here. For the first part, the panel on the left, there's a course content and assignments tab that will take you to the screen that you see right now. In there's the class syllabus. You'll notice that there's units that are, there are folders that are divided by units, and then there's also an assignments folder. For all of our online units and even our on-campus unit, if you look at the course syllabus and what the plan of study are across our 9 weeks together, you will be able to identify where you find certain information relative to that unit. All of our course assignments, however, will be located within the assignments folder on this page, so you can always find that. Our gradebook in eCampus, if you're logged in, you can also see that there's a My Grades tab, and anything that can be scored out with a rubric or, as you can see on the course syllabus, different activities, your blogs, the application assignments that we'll see, all of the grades that will be posted for you in this course will be available on My Grades. And then the last page that I just want to show you is the last page that I want to show you is I'm getting some feedback from somebody saying that the PowerPoint is really small. So let me change this for a second. Hopefully that is better. And these will be available on our class. These will be available on our class webpage. So now that I know that you weren't able to see them very well, we'll make sure that they're zoomed in further for you. So now that it is a little bit bigger, the blog function that is part of our grade is available then on that left-hand column as well. Okay, so based on our syllabus, there are a couple different learning activities. We will have 4 segments of our class, ostensibly, each worth a quarter of your overall grade. The first, you can see in the left-hand column, there's unit-based readings that are available on eCampus. After you do those readings each week, there is a response due on your blog, which is on eCampus. Those dates are listed on the syllabus as well, and they're basically the Mondays, I do believe, before we meet online. So those posts will be available for you. The next is our application assignments. There are 3 different application assignments. Each one will be introduced each week. So today I'll introduce becoming a PE geek. Next week I'll introduce make it an A+ unit. And then the final is map my research. Those applications combined will be available for 25% of your score. The third is your action research project. Here you'll be developing a plan to integrate that instructional unit, that technology-rich unit of instruction. And throughout our time together on campus, we'll do some mock presentations, and you'll have time for feedback. And then after our face-to-face class, you will then share your final action research project plan to your peers in an online format. The final 25% that you can see is a grant proposal for your action research project. In this case, think about it from the aspect of it's maybe a little bit more of a fundraising initiative. For some of us, we have technology available in our schools. And maybe you don't need to fundraise, but you want to enhance or supplement what you already have. In that case, DonorsChoose.org is going to be the platform that we interact with in the sense of hosting our project. DonorsChoose is a neat platform because it allows educators to fundraise. These are the things that I would like to enhance my classroom. And you can ask your administrators, you can ask your parents of your students, friends that you have, community members to donate to your cause to raise those funds. So those 4 course learning activities is what will drive our class. The Technology Action Research Project that I alluded to, there are several examples that previous students have done. We are I'm pretty proud of um, these action research projects that previous students have invested time in doing. And for instance, Eric Martin last summer proposed a Foursquare with iPads, and his final proposal was a Prezi that he posted online. He embedded some audio for people to listen to his plan as he walked through it. And Mike Manny, who is another student from our summer class last year, he did a fantastic job of planning out how he was going to get GPS units in his upper elementary and ostensibly navigate his community park that was adjacent to his school. And it was really neat to see both of these projects in addition to the other 15 that came to fruition at the end of last spring. So the work that's posted on the presentation currently, or on the screen for you to see, was what they planned to do, and then they actually carried it out in the spring during the application. I'm getting a few people who are posting some comments about the screen not necessarily being big enough still. If you can give me 1 second to try to fix this. Thank you to Kathleen and Hannah and Gentry for some of that feedback. So bear with me for 1 second as I kind of try to solve this issue here. Alright, so now you can all see me. For those of you who may have come in a little bit late, I do appreciate your patience here. So let's try this real quick. See if I can make this bigger for us. Oh, full screen. Let's try this. That's no good. Well, we might just have to stick with it, and then we'll get some feedback, and I'll figure it out. All right, here we go. So we're going to continue on. In brief, so our written grant proposal, I just wanted to show you real quick. So some of you may be interested in looking at what Donors Choose is in advance. So donorschoose.org is the platform that we will attempt to fundraise for our initiatives in the next fall and into the spring semester. So I know that that was a bit of a rush through our course, but I am very excited about the things that we are going to do together this summer. And if you have questions or need clarifications about the class and some of the logistics in regards to what we're going to do in the next 3 units, which are all online, and then into our face-to-face, I'm happy to address some of those. All right. So, kind of ready to go into our the content that we have that I have for us today. I'm back at here again because I want to make sure that you guys can see what it is we are doing. So full screen number 2 might be what is our best option here. Or maybe not. Alright, you guys are fantastic. Holly, I appreciate you said you just figured it out. That's wonderful. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All of the piloting that I did yesterday, I guess, has led us to still working through the issues. So, ostensibly, for those of us who, when we think about technology in our lives, some of the definitions about technology is that there's basically a totality of the means employed to provide objects necessary for human sustenance and comfort. So we figure out different ways to do different things in order to sustain us as humans and to provide levels of comfort. You'll see that little comic, sorry we can't email your pizza as an attachment. It's really amazing the types of things that we have started to understand or accept when it comes to different technologies that are either available to us or might be available to us based on what we are becoming comfortable with. A modern definition of technology is knowledge used to solve problems and extend human potential. Now, to me, I think that's probably one of the neater definitions, because if you think about technology, it's really, there are tools that can help us solve problems. For many of us in our gymnasium or in our classroom, we face issues daily that we perceive to be problems, instructional problems, classroom management problems, and this class is going to challenge us to consider ways that we might use different tools to solve those problems, or at least address them, and be willing to attempt to use something different to foster or hopefully counteract an issue that we're having. There are lots of people in our field that wonder if PE has actually moved beyond the stopwatch and whistle. And, you know, I would challenge each of us to think about, how did our undergraduate teacher training program prepare us to teach with technology? For me, it was very minimal. I observed a few classes that had technology infused. We observed a veteran teacher who was phenomenal with integrating technology into his teaching, and it was an eye-opener. What we were being taught in the classroom was very different from what was being delivered in the gymnasium, and it started to kind of stir up some questions. And there's a big movement in physical education to have teachers, beginning teachers, trained in such a way that they would be prepared to use technology in their teaching. But a lot of, as you can see in the bullet points, usually teachers teach themselves how to use technology. So they spend time learning how to use the technology on their own. Or they attend professional development sessions where they can learn from other people. A lot of teachers who I've interacted with are fantastic collaborative learners, and they learn most by seeing and hearing about what other people are doing. And those individuals who engage in professional development, as it said, are typically more likely to feel comfortable and try to use different devices in their teaching, particularly in the studies that we're looking at teachers using the internet or computers. Now, ISTE, I-S-T-E, is the International Society for Technology and Education. And ISTE has some standards that we as professionals are asked to abide by. And it's an interesting concept. I think I just figured this out, folks. Just wait. Look at what I just found out. I think I just found out. Oh no! How to share my screen. Now it's probably going crazy. Oh my goodness. You guys are probably getting so sick of me. I am so sorry. Let's try this. Okay, I need some feedback. Somebody type into our chat or in the questions and tell me if it's larger now, because I need your feedback. Is the screen better? Can you see it better? Let me know. I think it is. Okay. All right. Now, for those of us who are still with me, and I haven't lost you yet, ISTE is a really cool organization, and it spans not only physical education, but all of our disciplines. And ISTE has come up with a series of standards for how teachers should use or can use technology within their classrooms to enhance what it is that they do. And if you go to ISTE's website, there are what they call ISTE-T, which are teacher standards. There's also ISTE-S, which are student standards, and then there are ISTE-C, which are like it's coaches standards, and those are like your IT folks in your school building. So people who are trained to be coaches of technology for teachers. And if we kind of break down what those ISTE standards for teachers are, what they really do in a nutshell is they indicate there are four primary functions. Ways that technology can use to enhance one's productivity, ways that technology can be used to enhance, like what instructional resources or instructional aids are available, tools that can enhance student learning or understanding, and then tools that can promote professional learning of teachers. Now, as we think about this, productivity might be things like using electronic grade books to enhance what it is that we do as from an organizational standpoint. May also be things like using web-based resources to help us plan our classes and so forth. And how we are going to organize our class really does fall within ISTE's framework. Now, from kind of an interesting piece, from your student demographic survey, there are a list of technologies that you have identified as using in your gymnasiums or also in your health classrooms. There's a huge list: heart rate monitors, pedometers or activity monitors, all the way down to Google Drive, Adventures of Fitness, and YouTube and various websites, video recording of student learning, different active gaming devices, certain apps, and it's just amazing. Like, for those of you who went through teacher education programs, the typical teacher education programs, where you maybe had a little bit of interaction with technology and how to integrate it into your teaching, for 23 of us to be as active and articulate that you use technology at least sometimes, and this robust list of devices is really impressive. And I'm not suggesting that all of you have to use all of these devices all of the time, but it was neat to see that for the most part, each person on our list at least listed one thing that they have either access to or have found to use helpful to use in the gym. And I'm really encouraged by that. So as we continue to look at what types of things we can use, I would challenge you to, maybe branch out, or better yet, share your experiences with your colleagues in regards to what you use and how you use it. We're going to talk this evening about the PE Geeks assignment. And in a nutshell, you either already are a PE geek in some way, or you are going to become one. And it might be that you share the device that you already know how to use and expand upon that. For others of us, we thought we'll have to learn something so that we can come to our on-campus session being experts on those devices and how to actually use them within our classes. Now, I don't want you to get me wrong. I love technology maybe as much as the next person, but I also struggle with it, as we have seen tonight. And I'm not one of those people that's an early adopter. I don't go out and buy the newest and greatest thing. I'm a little bit hesitant a lot of times to invest in a technology that I don't know will work. And I often find myself wondering, how can it benefit me? And most often I'm wondering, how can it benefit my learners? When we think about our learners today, not to overemphasize kind of this generational difference, but we do have to acknowledge that children in our classes are certainly different than many of us. There's a significant amount of research that suggests that as we age, we become classified into different generational clusters. And right, wrong, or indifferent, we sometimes have similar traits to those who were born and experienced certain things within a time frame surrounding our birth. And to kind of only go back to the boom generation, of which many maybe of your parents or extended relatives were in, if they were born between those years of 1943 and 1960, there were things going on in the world and within society that typically, that cluster of folks tend to be a little bit more inward focused and focus on developing their personal skills rather than trying to be a big team player. And a lot of that had to do with maybe how they were raised. The major professions, teachers, religious folks, journalism, marketers, and artists really boomed out of that particular generation. Gen Xers, some of you may fall within that range, maybe those of you don't, started to see more students being left at home after school by their own, so considered latchkey children because moms and dads were working. There was dual career families, so children were left to not necessarily fend for themselves because their parents were caring for them by going to work and having an income. But after school, children would come home, let themselves in, have a snack, watch some television, play outside, whatever it is, and tended to, as a generation, increase in youth crime, falls in test scores, and really kind of triggered some big-time educational movements. Now, the millennials, which are born from 1982 to present, there's this kind of baby on board. Everyone in the literature, it kind of articulates that they feel special. Everyone gets a medal, everyone gets a prize, and I'm not certainly trying to speak down on this group because I know many of us in this class might fall within that millennial generation. And quite frankly, there's some fantastic things that have come from this millennial group. And one of the things that's so cool about it is that although these traits have been listed that they're special or feel sheltered, they're also confident and very team-oriented. It's like it's a shift from being very inwardly focused to now trying to build collaborative efforts. One of the pieces of research that I read recently was that that millennials do, in fact, they're able to bring large groups together, so they can actually bring folks together on an idea, or if they're trying to accomplish something. They're really good at motivating and encouraging and kind of rallying the troops, per se. Somewhat pressured to succeed. This has been kind of noted in early sports or early achievement. You might see kids younger and younger getting into organized sports, and they have this sense of pressure to achieve. And a lot of millennials are achieving higher test scores. They are more inclined to be involved in drama and music and art clubs and really able to expand beyond just a math, reading, and science. Now, considering this, we also would consider the fact that as we transition our learners, who our learners are, there's some new learning approaches that we maybe need to consider. On this table on the left, the traditional learning environments, teacher-centered instruction, passive learning, isolated work, factual knowledge-based learning, reactive responses, isolated artifacts contents. That has been traditionally effective for some groups of learners. But as we know about our millennial client or customer, if you want to call them that, when we start to think a little bit different about the way we teach, some student-centeredness, some active or inquiry-based learning, build some collaborative opportunities for our really team-driven students, challenge them to be critical thinkers and make informed decisions about the content that you share, proactive or planned action, where you ask the students to identify what it is they're going to do and why and how they're going to act on it. And then giving them authentic real-world experiences where they have to apply how are you going to plan for a vacation or a camping trip, or what considerations do you need to do when you are planning for college or looking for the best gym to work out at. And when we think about these new learning environments and new learning approaches, I'm going to challenge us all to think about when we are expanding beyond just the traditional teaching modes that we have. With our action research project, where we try a little bit more project-based learning, where we might ask students to create something in groups. So maybe they have to navigate around the community during outside of class time. Or can we think outside the box instead of just a pre-post test experience, and rather look for ways that we might engage our learners to be to fulfill some of these things that we know about how they thrive as millennials. Now, bringing it back a little bit, okay, so we've talked about technology is kind of present in our lives. Some of us use it in our classrooms. Our learners are unique people, and our instruction needs to address and align with our learners. Now, there's a framework. Oops, I jumped ahead. One of the frameworks is our National PE Standards. It gives us a guide as to what we should do within our classes. I'm sure these are very familiar to many of you, and if they're not, take a look at the Shape America website, pull these up. I would expect that all of you within your teaching, within your curriculum development, within delivering your scope and sequence, you have to provide evidence of students meeting these standards. And you probably may also, or in addition, have to do your state level standards. West Virginia has state level CSOs and content standards and objectives. And it's required that teachers demonstrate that their students are either achieving or making progress towards these. Shape America, or what used to be AFERD, has come out with grade level benchmarks. And I'm not sure we'll be able to link out to this site, but just last spring, with the rollout of these new standards, AFERD also provided specific grade level outcomes for each grade relative to each standard. And I will provide that document on our eCampus site for you to peruse if in fact you're so inclined. But as we think about teaching and learning, this class is basically founded on this framework called TPACK, or Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge. Now, back in 2006, just a few shy of 10 years ago, two faculty members explored a traditional concept called PCK. And in the mid-1980s, Lee Shulman said, it takes more than just having a lot of knowledge about something to be a teacher. Content knowledge is having a lot of knowledge about science, or a lot of knowledge about math, or a lot of knowledge about sport, or a lot of knowledge about health. Just having the knowledge, or CK, content knowledge, doesn't make you a great teacher. I would expect many of us have run into teachers in the past who are phenomenal, brilliant people who couldn't teach their way out of a cardboard box. They had the knowledge, just couldn't communicate it. Now, Lee Shulman also said, just having the pedagogy and pedagogical knowledge, just knowing how to teach, doesn't make you a great teacher either. Knowing that in modeling, knowing that having different demonstrations, knowing that there needs to be checking for understanding, doesn't make somebody a great teacher. But Lee Shulman said it's that mix, it's what happens right in the middle, this PCK, this pedagogical content knowledge. Phenomenal teachers mix their knowledge of their content with their understanding of how to deliver their content. And they take into consideration who their learners are, right? So if you have a learner who consistently struggles, somebody with the ability that has a depth of knowledge about their content and lots of different instructional opportunity or instructional ideas in their back pocket, even if that student doesn't understand it the first time, I can re-explain it. I can re-explain it, and I can re-explain it, and I can try something different until they get it. Because PCK is not just teaching a class, but it's teaching for learning. Now, in 2006, Mersha and Kohler, two faculty members up in Michigan State, said Lee Shulman had it. He had it right. But they said, but we've got a lot of new tools available to us now. And so they added something. They added one more dimension to this. They said, we need two dimensions. They said, first, this dashed line that goes all the way around. We need to consider our context. Right, well, what does that mean? We need to consider that some of us are teaching in California in a public school. We need to consider that some of us are teaching in Virginia in private schools. We need to consider that some of us in this class, I think, are teaching in a totally online environment. And so your context is totally different. I teach 500 students a day, you teach 40. I teach 6, 7, 8, and you teach kindergarten to 5th. In your context, how much support you have from your administrators, or not. How much technology and resources you have, or not. Your context is very different. So even though you have fantastic PCK, your context is and does need to be considered. The second thing that they added was this idea of technological knowledge, or TK. They say teachers should have the knowledge of different technologies, or knowledge of tools that can help them. Now, technological knowledge in isolation is, I know how to push buttons on a VCR. VCRs are really old. I know how to use an iPad. I know how to start and stop a video. Oh, Jones knows how to use Google+, or maybe not. But the ins and outs of the device, right? So it's not anything about teaching right now, it's just technology. Well, as with the other two components, in isolation, a knowledge of a technology is not enough, right? Just like having your content knowledge is not enough, and just like having the ability and knowledge of how to teach is not enough. Mersha and Kohler said, well, let's think about how these concepts interact. Technological, pedagogical knowledge as they've defined it, is this concept in this pink shaded area, that how you understand your technology tools and how you understand how to teach, when they intersect, the teacher then becomes aware that when I teach with a particular technology, it changes possibly the way that I might interact with my students. So for instance, at WVU, we have these little things called iClickers. And they're small devices that look like remote controls. And students can respond immediately to a question that is posed by the instructor. And it's like a polling device. Now, it's really a neat thing because you ever have that student that just raises their hand because everybody else is raising their hand? Or you ever have that student that when you do a check for understanding nods their head but then they really don't get it? I'm sure none of you have had those students. I sure haven't. But the iClicker, or this polling device, allows you to say, put an item up on the board with a multiple choice response. And everyone has a device and everyone clicks in and you can see, oh, well, actually only 50% of the class got that right. I need to refine what it is I'm doing. My technology, the use of that iClicker, enhances and changes how much time I might spend on something. So as a teacher, the fact that I have that, or somebody might have that TPK, that technological pedagogical knowledge, is in fact a neat tool. It's in fact something that teachers need to acknowledge. If they're going to use tools, technology in their classes, they need to consider how it's going to change the way they teach. I just had a teacher from the southern part of the state come and do a guest lecture for us, and he uses something called Voki in his lesson. So now Voki is a web-based kind of an animated website where you can create a character. It's kind of like an avatar per se. And he teaches middle school health, and he says at the beginning of every semester, instead of reading my syllabus and my rules and expectations for the students, he creates an online avatar named Susan, and he typed or copy and pasted into the website everything that he wanted Susan to say to these students. And then when the students came into the class, he hit play. And there you go. 8 periods a day, Susan delivered his expectations and rules and protocols for his health class on the first day of class. So he could be spending time doing other things. And it was just one way that he used technology to deliver content to his students. So that's one aspect. The other aspect here is the concept of technological content knowledge. Now this is a little bit kind of dicey here. So technological content knowledge is one's understanding of how technology could enhance the content that they're teaching. So for instance, we have a couple here at WVU, we have some classes where we teach activities, like golf class, for instance. And sometimes golf is one of those difficult sports to give feedback to learners because, I don't know about you, but everybody thinks that they're Tiger Woods. And you might not be perceived as the instructor to have the high level of knowledge that they might perceive to have because of their success or enjoyment on the golf course. Well, we've had instructors who've taken the iPads and who have videotaped those students in the golf class and used that videotape, that video evidence of what their strokes look like, and said, okay, well, let's pause this for a second. Let's put this in slow motion. Where are your arms right now? Where is your head right now? Are you making solid contact with the ball? And if not, what adjustments do you need to make? Oh, look, your body needs to be shifted back or whatever. So using that tool, that video recording, allowed the learner to have a greater understanding of that content, of swinging the golf club. And that particular app, you could do like a pre-post. So you have your pre-video, you show it in slow motion, and you can use it in different ways. And then after practicing, take another video and compare them side by side. I mean, it's been really neat to see students interact with the content more by having a visual example. So TCK is the teacher's knowledge of how technology might enhance the content that it is they're trying to teach. Now, Mersha and Kohler said this. They said, in addition, overall, this middle of it everything, right? This middle where everything intersects, they call that TPAC. It's a teacher's understanding of how, if I'm going to use technology, it's going to influence how I teach and what I teach. So before I go in like a bull in a china shop and try to make my technology-rich unit, because Jones is making me, I'm going to think about, like, what is my context? Who am I trying to teach? What am I trying to teach? How do I want to try to teach that? And are there tools that could make me a better teacher and the students more engaged learners? So TPAC is where we're at, right? This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to be all about for the next 9 weeks. And if you can't tell, I'm kind of excited about it. TPAC challenges me every day. And I appreciate your willingness to stick with us tonight because of the technology glitches. And I know that can be frustrating. It's frustrating for me, but I don't want to stop trying to use different things that can help us collaborate, to help us engage together as a class. And when you come on campus, everybody's going to be welcome to bring your own devices. You're going to bring devices that might enhance your learning. Take notes on your iPad. Everybody will be issued an iPad for the week that we're together. And there'll be different things that you'll be asked to do with that. You may be totally comfortable and fluent on iPads, but you might not, and you might learn a few things. And hopefully you can walk away with different ideas of not just how to push buttons on different tools, but more importantly, how that it can be applied within PE. Now I'm going to skip that last slide, so don't worry about that. I think we're ready to move along here. Now, the question becomes, we've got a couple more minutes here, is technology actually in PE? And these are two sites that I'd love for you to explore. One is called thepegeek.com. This website has inspired our assignment. And the other one is Tech for PE. And I know that's a dark blue on there, but it's techforpe.wordpress.com. And both of these sites, this is certainly not all of the sites that are focused on technology and PE, but really neat resources, idea sharing about how technology is being used across the country and around the world to enhance what teachers are doing. And I would challenge you to explore these websites and maybe pick up a few tips here and there. My last slide before we talk about our assignment is this kind of hodgepodge here. That top bar says 11,000 tweets, 372 photos. Okay, that is the toolbar from the PE Geeks Twitter feed. And there are over 7,000, almost 8,000 followers of that professional. That professional's name is Jared, and he's, I think he's in Australia and New Zealand. And almost 8,000 teachers worldwide are following PE Geeks on Twitter. And if you're on Twitter, take a look. There are a gazillion ideas, podcasts, photos, challenges, relative to ways technology could enhance or is enhancing teachers in our profession and what happens in their classroom. I've got a picture of Dr. Joanne Light. She's a Slippery Rock University faculty member in the Department of PE, or Physical and Health Education. She is one of the few Google certified teachers. She's a faculty member and she teaches teachers like I do, PE and health teachers. And she's phenomenal. She has taken what she does and taken it to another level. The Google Teacher Academy is something, again, it's nation or worldwide. And Google brings in teachers and they teach them all of the different ways that they could enhance what it is that they do. And Dr. Light was one of the first PE people. And she made a compelling case. PE teachers are teachers too. We might teach in the gymnasium, and we might not have overhead projectors, and we might not have, desks that our children sit at, but my goodness, we teach, and PE teachers should use tools to enhance what we do. I very much respect Joanne Light, and I'm so proud of her and what she does for our profession to promote technology use. For those of you who were maybe at the 2014 AFERD conference in St. Louis, I just did a quick Google search. There were over almost 60 technology sessions at AFERD in a 4-day period. People are talking about it. People are doing it. ISTE has an international conference here at the end of June. I had the pleasure to go down and present at the ISTE conference, and it will be presenting on things that are happening in PE and how your tech folks at your school could enhance or help you do your job better. So ISTE has many members, and really my intent with some of my colleagues is to go down there and say, hey, PE teachers are teachers too. And for those of you tech folks who have budgets that you're not sure how to spend some money on PE, and here's how your teachers could maybe use it. And then lastly, there are some resources like on PE Central, for instance. There's a whole section on PE Central for technology. For those of you who have iPads, I know I saw on the forum that some of you are doing one-to-one iPads in your schools, and how the heck do we use those in PE? There's an apps for PE kind of library, and if you have an app that you use, you can submit a lesson ID on PE Central, and if it's accepted, then I think you get like a $50 gift certificate to SNS, which is not bad. So technology in PE is coming, it's emerging, it's here, and my take home to you is be open-minded. Some technologies don't work, like tonight. Sometimes they do. But I challenge you to be open-minded, please, and just consider. This class is not for all tech geeks. You don't have to be the best around technology to be a part of our class. Frankly, I like people who are real, and I have real struggles with technology too. But for those of us who can approach technology as a tool, and that might assist what we can do, assist in accomplishing our tasks better, or to do it, to do something that we couldn't do before, will be our second ask. It's a tool. It's not the end-all, be-all. We don't teach technology in the gymnasium. We teach PE, sport, movement, health, locomotor skills, fundamentals, strategy, gameplay, why to value PE and physical activity. And hopefully we can use different tools to help us communicate better and engage our learners in our content. The third thing that I'd ask for you to do is explore some of those personal biases and assumptions that you might have about technology and PE. I'm not naive to the fact that some of us may or may not think that technology doesn't have a place in the gymnasium, because technology is only sitting in front of the TV or playing video games. But again, I challenge you to be open-minded, and let's think about ways that maybe we can enhance what we do. And if we have a real closed-minded nature to it in regards to what my personal experiences are or assumptions are, just like I said, I challenge you to be open-minded with me. So here are some of our ending tasks, folks. On our class website, our eCampus, there are readings that are posted in our Unit 1 folder. There are 3 for master's students, and those are listed on eCampus. And then there's those 3 plus an additional for those students who are pursuing doctoral studies. Once you read those on eCampus, there is a blog where you will post your response to the prompts that are asked related to those readings. That blog post is due on this next Monday, I believe. Check the course syllabus to double check. And then start the PE Geek assignment. So let's take a half a second here, a couple minutes, to look at what this PE Geek assignment actually is. If you go to our eCampus page, it will look something like this. I hope you guys can see that. On the left, for those of you who can follow, that course content and page, course content and assignments page. Here's the Unit 1 where you will see the our readings and such, and I will post this video there as well. But down at the bottom there's an assignments page or folder, and if you click on that assignments folder, you can download the attached file, read some details here about what you need to do. The file looks like this. Becoming a PE Geek. Now, I don't know if I'd say a PE geek. You can read through this on your own, but I would ask, basically, what it is it says a PE geek, as self-defined by the Twitter handle, is a collaboration of ideas and resources from PE teachers throughout the world aimed at engaging learners and raising standards. Hashtag together we are stronger. Hashtag PE geeks. So those individuals who align themselves with this group and allow themselves to be associated with this label have shared ideas and resources, provided solutions to challenges that PE teachers face, established a learning community of diverse individuals, and share a common bond through the teaching of and progression of PE, out of the old and into the new way of thinking. So I pose the question to you. Are you a PE geek? For this assignment, folks, what you are going to do is you are going to become our group's resident experts on a technology. So you can select one of the technologies that are listed below. I'll show you where. And you are going to do research on that device. You're going to look on the internet. You are going to, from your own experiences, and you are going to prepare a presentation to your peers about the functionality and features, the affordability, strengths of the technology for teachers and students, limitations, let's be realistic, and prospective uses within a PE or sports setting. Feel free to use health as well. So you're going to prepare 5 to 10 minutes of a presentation that will be delivered to your peers when you arrive on campus here at WVU. So you can start today. You can work on this. You'll prepare your 5 to 10 minute presentation. You won't turn it in until you get to campus in July. Okay? That's part 1. Part 2, my friends, is you are going to prepare a 20 to 30 minute hands-on application task using that technology with your peers. Okay, so you're going to be the teacher. Your peers are going to be your learners. And your task is to say, okay, I just told you all the benefits of the tool, how to use it, taught you how to use it. Now here's how it could be applied to the classroom. And you might have to have hands out. We'll have the gymnasium space, and so on and so forth. So you'll actually go down in the gym or outside and do these lessons. We will have PE Geek sessions most afternoons while you're here on campus so that everyone can share and do their hands-on application. Available technologies listed. Those are listed. Those are the things that I have that if you sign up to use those devices, you can use mine, or you can use WVU's. If you want to do something different, then you need to bring that to campus with you. Last year we had somebody who their school had Nike sport watches, and so they brought those and taught the students, their peers, how to utilize those in class, in the application task. All components, so both your presentation and your application, hands-on application, are due July 15, regardless of what day of the week in class you actually teach. Now, just to be clear here, the instructions say review the download, which we just did. You'll want to read that closer, I'm sure. And then it says access this URL. For some reason, my computer was not allowing me to link something. So this is a Google Doc. You can just copy and paste that URL into your web browser. And of the listed technologies here, those are the things that I have that you can check out and use. If you want to do GPS units, you're going to put your first and last name in that cell. We're not going to have more than 2 sessions on each device. So if you wait until July 7th to sign up, and what you really want to do is taken by 2 people already, you'll have to come up with a different idea. Now, if you have a different technology that you have access to and you want to bring to campus, you can type that down here below and put your name. Okay? And that means that you'll bring that technology or that device to campus. Now, a Google Doc, for those of you, or Google Spreadsheet if you haven't used it, you can just type into it and then close it. When I reopen that again, if I were to do so, what I added below is still there. So you don't have to save it. It automatically saves. It'll be on your honor. Please don't delete other people's names. That's just not very cool. But otherwise, folks, it's time to go. I am very excited about this class, and again, I've said it several times, but I appreciate you sticking in and being patient with the technology with me today. For those of you who may have questions or concerns about the class, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll do my very best to respond. And we will meet again next Tuesday evening, same time. I will practice with the Google Hangout a bit more, and hopefully we'll have fewer glitches along the way. But I will post this video on our course website so that you can review it at your leisure if in fact you want to brush up on some of the information we shared. Otherwise, thank you so much, and I'm going to stop the broadcast now, and we will be in touch soon. Thank you.